Okay, after talking with a lot of people and getting some emails, I decided that one of the things I wanted to do was show people some of the differences of working with semi-assembled figures. So I figured we can go ahead and do it with this one piece that we're going to be doing a lot of modding on. Not a big deal, but since we have it, since we can do it, and since this is an easy piece to do it with, I'm going to go ahead and put the piece together, semi-assembled. We'll go ahead and do that tonight, and then we'll start painting on it as a semi-assembled piece, and then start working with some of the modding. So we're going to get right down to it. We're going to take it off. We're going to explain some of the reasons why semi-assembled pieces do have some advantages. We'll talk about a couple of the slight disadvantages to working with semi-assembled, but we'll get right to it. So here we go. Okay, one of the advantages to doing a semi-assembled piece is we can get the pieces right out early on, and we can already take care of the thing so that we don't have to do as much touch-ups. Now we're going to disassemble these the exact same way as if we painted them on the sprues, like what you've seen before, and we're only going to take out the pieces that we're going to be initially working on. We can always put pieces in later on, so it's not going to be that big of a deal for us. But what it's going to allow us to do is we're going to be able to look at the pieces and make sure that we don't have any lines from the molding. Any of the areas that we clipped we can already file down, which is something that will work better for us, like on the chest. So, you know, whether or not you want to clip it down a little bit, if at all possible, file it down. Now, like what I was saying, now with this we'll be able to actually touch all this up before we get too far into the figure, and it'll give us the advantage of not having to worry about doing a real good touch up later on. Of course, the feet are never much of an issue. Because you're really not going to see the underside of the feet. Okay, now we're going to assemble this, and then we'll talk a little bit more about some of the advantages. We'll just double check to make sure that we don't have mold lines. They typically run up the sides, but on the case of this piece, they did a real good job where you really can't see the mold lines. So we'll get right into this and start working on the piece after that. Now that we have it together, you can see that I put these 5 pieces together. I didn't put on the head or the arms. I didn't want anything that's going to get in the way of where I'm going to be painting. I'll be able to get about 98% of the detail that I can by painting it on the sprue. Now, with that, you're going to ask, what are the disadvantages? Well, one of the disadvantages that I have when I'm doing them this way is that, one, I lose a little bit of the detail, but not a heck of a lot, so it really doesn't matter too much. Another disadvantage that I find is time. It's a little bit more time consuming to paint them semi-assembled, but it does give me certain advantages as far as the miniature and not having to do as many touch-ups. One of the touch-ups that I can avoid by doing it this way is, as I was gluing the leg together, a little bit of the glue came out and it's going to create a shiny area. Now if that was going over the finished paint, I would have to run another layer of finished paint over, and unless I already had a mixture of my blended paints, that would be hard to get that to the exact color. So that's something that I can now avoid having to worry about with this miniature. And I can also check and see, okay, I have a slight line right here that I want to file down and make a little bit smoother, even though it's pretty much going to be hidden by the arm. Just for aesthetics, I can go ahead and take care of that now, put on a little bit of foundation paint on the area that I'll clean up. But again, it gives me some advantages, gives me a couple of disadvantages, but it pretty much works out in the wash. I normally always do my stuff on the sprue. There's a lot of stuff that you really can't because they come semi-assembled. So we're going to work with this to show you some of the advantages as we paint through this and go through some of the things, and then we'll start doing a lot of the heavy modding and just going crazy with the modding on this one piece to make it really, really stand out. So that's it for today.